It feels like we've been in this position before, maybe more than once already this season. Well, that's because the Washington Wizards have. 15-point lead goes down the drain in the fourth quarter. An amazing performance by Bub Carrington and Jamir Watkins is spoiled. Cleveland takes it tonight. Let's break it all down here on Locked On Wizards.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
DC family, you are locked on to the Washington Wizards, where you're part of our family. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, where it's your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Alongside the DC Sports content creating Savant Abdullah-Ayubi, I'm Ben Schrober, and I cover the Washington Wizards for Roundtable IO. An all too familiar position here for the Wizards. They come out on the wrong end of another big-time comeback by the opponent. 15-point lead evaporated by the Cleveland Cavaliers in the fourth quarter. AB, tough to see how that one ended, but a lot of positives to take away from the youth. But I'm going to let you take it away because I know something is frustrating you at the moment.
It's not just me. Trust me, it's a lot of Wizards fans out there. Ben, respectfully, love how the youth played tonight. Jamir Watkins, 15 points. Marvin Bagley with a double-double, 15 and 13. Bub Carrington, 27 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists, Ben. I mean, the Bub haters, they had to take off tonight because they couldn't say much. But, Ben, CJ McCollum, I understand 27 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists. But on a night where I always talk about how you're playing well as a team, especially the Wiz kids in general, how do you, as a veteran, not share the rock within the last minute? I understand you're a guy that can hit it down the stretch, but if it's not falling for you, swing it. I mean, swing it. Keyshawn Jordan's 15 tonight. Will Riley did some nice things. Trey Johnson, it was great to see him come back, although he did struggle and he was on a minute restriction, so hopefully he'll bounce back from that. But again, man, like, Bub Carrington was on fire tonight. Give him the ball. Why are you taking those last-second shots? This is a Cavs team that at one point you were up 15 points on. They didn't have Jared Allen. They were also dealing with injuries. We also are dealing with injuries. No Bilal Coulibaly, no Alex Sarr. I just did not like the fact that CJ McCollum was taking those last-second shots. And it's not the first time this has happened. This happened multiple times throughout the season. And it really does get to a point where Wizards fans just sit there and just laugh because it's like, we need to see something different.
Yeah, we've been in this position quite a few times, and there's been some fourth quarters in particular where McCollum has been on the forefront of the collapse. Tonight, a really bad fourth quarter. He was 1 for 8 from the field in the fourth, at a turnover as well, 0 for 4 from behind the arc. The only bucket he had was kind of a garbage time layup he had when they were down by 4 with a minute left to go in the game after Cleveland had already taken the lead. Donovan Mitchell goes crazy.
Berserk.
In this fourth quarter. He had 48 in the game, and in the fourth quarter, he had 24 points. He's a closer. He's a superstar, and that's the guy you couldn't let get hot. Throughout this episode, I want to talk a lot about Bub Carrington. I want to talk about Jamir Watkins before we give you guys the opportunity to let it all out in the third segment, because I had a weird feeling before this game, AB, and I'm trying to move on already from the loss, because at the end of the day, the losses are kind of what this team wants. We know that. It sucks to see it happen this way. It's a good learning experience, I think, for them to be competitive and play in a close game like this. But, some sour taste that's left in your mouth after you have the last 6 days off and you come out with that performance. But Bub Carrington, I had this feeling that it was going to be a big night for him. I don't know if it's just because he came off the 14-point performance last Saturday against Atlanta. He got the week to process that. He finished a second team high of +7 tonight. At one point, he was a +25 earlier in the third quarter. He finishes with 27 points, 6 rebounds, 8 assists. Was a lot more effective as a facilitator, only turning the ball over 3 times tonight. 10 of 20 from the field, 5 of 13 from behind the arc. I think this kid is getting his confidence back. And that's the most important thing for me, because when his confidence has dwindled at points in this season, it's made it tough to watch because you can tell how it's affected his offensive performance. And I'm not going to say Bub Carrington right now is all the way back. It's 2 performances in a row that he's put together some nice outputs offensively. I think there's still work that needs to be done, but this is a nice showing. You're happy to see him progressing, him getting back into the groove that we saw from him last year. That pull-up mid-range shot tonight, it looked good. I'm excited to see how Bub continues to build on that, because a lot of you out there wanted to write him off already. He's 20. Like I said, mentally don't know if he was in the best place. He's been going through a tough time in his life. Have to remember what happened at the end of last year. He played through that, had the entire offseason to process through that as well. I think if Bub Carrington really does have his confidence offensively back, he's going to turn into the role player this team needs. Tonight was a big step forward for him, Abdullah.
Yep, I couldn't have said any better than what you just said, Ben. Shout out to the Wizards subreddit, because they all hate on Bub Carrington in there, and obviously it's Reddit. There's a lot of trolls, but Bub Carrington's aunt tweeted, I showed you, or not tweeted, but in the subreddit said, "Hey, shout out to all you guys for saying that my nephew deserves to be on the Capital City Go-Go. Just be quiet." She silenced all the haters right now, and there's really nothing you can say negative about his performance tonight. Like you mentioned, that mid-range shot, I mean, it's so crisp, Ben, and he just looks confident. The 8 assists, love that. This was what we saw tonight was glimpses of what we saw from his rookie year. A guy who played all 82 games, a guy who finished his last regular season game as a rookie with the game winner against the Miami Heat. This is the Bub Carrington that I want to see throughout the rest of the season now. And no Chris Middleton tonight. No Corey Kispert, no Bilal, no Alex Sarr. So those shots will essentially go to Bub, and he made it count, Ben. Like you mentioned, the idea of him being a plus 15 at one point in the game, finished as a plus 7. There were talks of him. I saw so much on social media that he has the worst plus minus in NBA history. And I was like, Bub Carrington is not that bad. He is only 20 years old. To write this kid off, to say that he doesn't deserve to be on an NBA team and assigned to the Capital City Go-Go, it's just malarkey. There's no way you can send a guy down and derail his confidence. Year 2, this is a guy who the Wizards traded Denny Avdia for. I know you guys don't want to hear the name, but you traded Denny Avdia, draft capital, to acquire this guy. This franchise has so much confidence. Will Dawkins, general manager and company, everyone has a lot of riding on this kid. Just turned 20 years old, and on a performance like that, how can you not be optimistic about this kid? And maybe he's not the point guard here in DC, but what we saw tonight, I don't care if he's at the point guard. If he's playing like that every game, he can play any position.
Yeah, I think Bub Carrington has the real potential to be a great role player for this team. Whether or not down the road it's a guy, he comes in as a combo guard, he comes off the bench for you. Bub Carrington's going to be a pro for a long time, and I truly believe it. Today was a big step forward for him. I'm super happy for him. I'm also super happy for Jamir Watkins. The whole idea of this Wizards team being a meritocracy this year has been kind of this revolving door of opinions about it, because where is the real sense of meritocracy? Maybe Jamir Watkins tonight was the best example of that. The former second-round pick, with Cam Whitmore not playing once again. We'll get into that eventually, I promise. I don't want to make that as big of a story as some people will make it tonight. I will address that in the next segment. 15 points and 8 rebounds for Jamir Watkins, who knocked down 3 of his 4 looks from behind the arc. If you think about what he brings to the table defensively, because he was awesome defensively tonight, he was all over the place, super impactful. He was a big reason why Washington outscored Cleveland 40-23 in that third quarter. If you take his defense into account, kind of the way we talk about Bilal Coulibaly, if he develops that jumper the way it did today, and he continues to build on that performance, also had a couple of high-flying dunks as well, this is a guy that can give you great rotational minutes as well. I was insanely happy to see him make the most of his opportunity, because you saw him get that start a week ago, kind of was a non-factor in that one. You go, But him coming off the bench today and playing the way he did also gives you a big glimpse of maybe player development shining a little bit through here, through this Wizards organization. You love to see that, because this is a guy you used your second-round pick on. He's kind of a flyer because he's 24 years old. What do you have in this guy? You know the intensity he brings on the defensive side of the basketball. That's as advertised. What are you going to get out of him offensively? I think today was a big step forward for him. And I think as a whole, today was a step forward for the Wizards youth. They were a big reason why they were in the position to have a chance to win this game. And ultimately, comes down to it, you don't end up getting the win, but at the end of the day, the team is not judged predicated based on wins and losses. You want to see real progress, real development. I think we saw that in a lot of different facets today, Abdullah.
Yeah, and up until the middle of the third quarter, this Wizards squad was on a 26-8 run. This Cavs team was struggling to buy a basket, and this is the Cavs team that's going to be competing in the Eastern Conference because they realize that the East is really thin with the whole Giannis Antetokounmpo situation. The Knicks are probably the front runners right now, and you did a good job of being competitive up into that fourth quarter with those couple minutes left where Donovan Mitchell does what superstars typically do in games, take over, and there's a lot of positives to pull out from this game outside of Bub Carrington. Like you mentioned, Jamir Watkins, 15-8. This is a guy who defensively we thought he could be really good here in D.C., but offensively giving you 15 points on a night where a lot of your guys are out dealing with injury. We're hoping to see them back soon. Maybe this is a night where if you have Bub or if you have Bilal back or Alex Sarr back, they can come and help you win this game. So with that being said, Ben, this is a good, I guess, tank loss if you want to call it like that, because again, I'm not really upset that we lost because I still understand the bigger picture. It's just the way CJ was taking those last shots when it just wasn't falling. If Bub's hot, why not give him the rock?
It's so funny that we can kind of react this way to games this season, because if this were a Wizards team that was competing, if they had lost some of these heartbreakers the way they have and they were trying to compete right now, it'd be devastating. I don't know how much I could take of this. Thankfully, the wins and losses do not matter right now, and everybody knows that. Everybody that understands where this team is trying to head understands that. So you don't have to get too worked up about it. Yeah, McCollum having a disastrous fourth quarter was kind of bothersome to see, because maybe you'd like to see the youth get a chance to get that win. I think the youth deserved to have the chance to try to get that win for yourself. You already have a sizable gap in between you and whoever else has 6 wins, like the Clippers or something like that. You and New Orleans won yesterday, so a win actually would still have you tied for the worst record in the NBA, but it is what it is. All right, when we come back, Cam Whitmore, another DNP today. What does it mean going forward? Let's talk about it next. Guys, it's 2025, almost 2026, and those days of waiting for something to become a full-blown emergency before you see a doctor, they're over. No more walking it off for 6 months. No more pretending that weird shoulder stiffness is just sleeping on it wrong. It's time to take your health seriously, and Zocdoc makes that easier than ever. Because staying healthy is more than hitting the gym or eating right. It's about actually checking things out when something feels off. Using Zocdoc makes scheduling easier. Search for in-network doctors and book right in the app. Real appointment times are listed, including same-day visits. No more back-and-forth phone calls or waiting weeks to be seen. Super helpful for routine checkups and those little issues you've been meaning to get checked. It lets you compare providers using real patient reviews and not ads. So stop putting off your doctor appointments and get the care you need. Go to Zocdoc.com/LockedOnNBA and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/LockedOnNBA. Zocdoc.com/LockedOnNBA. Oh man, I don't really want to make this a big story. I don't think it's that big of a deal in the grand scheme of things, honestly, for what happened tonight, because other guys stepped up. But
it's a big deal for a small amount of people, though, Ben.
Cam Whitmore did not play today. He was part of a list of 4 players that did not play in this game, with the other 3 being Anthony Gill, who does not play, Sharif Cooper does not play for this team, and A.J. Johnson never gets minutes for this team as well. Well, guys like Will Riley stepped up in this game, and you love to see what Riley has provided for you in the past 2 weeks off the bench. I admire the way he utilizes his patience around the basket. The one play where he gets past his man to the bucket, absorbs a little bit of contact. He waits patiently, uses his pivot foot, gathers himself, and waits for the perfect opportunity to use the length with that long wingspan, wraparound pass to Marvin Bagley under the bucket. Will Riley is a player that just gets it right now. He understands it. And if Cam Whitmore isn't living up to what the team's standards are at the moment, that's all internal stuff. We don't hear a lot about what actually is happening within that situation. Other guys are going to have to step up. Playing right now. Cam Whitmore playing the way he is, or the Cam Whitmore not playing right now, and Will Riley playing the way he has been, is something that is exciting to me. I know I want to see Cam Whitmore out there. I have a lot of hope that the book is not closed on this guy. I still think he's going to have a chance to make his way back in the rotation and get back to playing the minutes he was earlier in the season. But I'm looking at who's stepping up. Will Riley was that guy tonight.
Yeah, and that's what I love to see. This is a guy who is a tough shot maker coming out of Illinois, and we saw what he was doing with the Capital City Go-Go. He can hoop, and you're right, Ben. If Cam Whitmore is not going out there, Will Riley will step up, and he did so tonight. And we're hoping to see more of that in the second half of the season. Again, I don't want to compare his like rise like Keyshawn George last year, but I kind of see it's a similarity of it where offensively it's going to take some time to develop, and we'll hopefully see that breakout come the second game. But just the pivot, the ability to use his pivot and finding Marvin Bagley down low, and Marvin Bagley tonight with a double-double, a night where you don't have Alex Sarr, your best defender or offensive player just in general overall out there. The team did really well, and Will Riley being a guy that contributed to it, that's what I love to see. Him maybe going back to Capital City Go-Go, it is what it is. Like, it's going to happen. I know A.J. Johnson got assigned to it and now got called back to didn't play tonight. But Will Riley, I'm excited, man. This is a kid who, 19, 20 years old, I think just grew to 6'10" from what I just saw recently. He's only going to get taller. I tweeted out that I told Wemby to watch out because the kid's 6'10", and maybe he can eventually get to 7 foot. But if he can develop his game, Ben, and with a good amount of time, I mean, this kid, could be a guy who can give you 15 to 20 points a game, and the length that he offers defensively. Versatility, Ben, I always go back to that. That's what Will Dawkins essentially wants in a player. Can you play offense, defense, and can you play with intensity? A guy who can go on there and dive for loose balls, can find flashy passes, or not even flashy passes, just makes the right pass, knows when to use the pivot. Many young guys they don't get that, at least this quick into their rookie year. Will Riley looks like he has it, and he's only going to learn from it and improve on it.
You know what, also, with Riley, is he just competes. That's the bottom line. He goes out there and he gives you 110% effort every single time he touches the floor. And I like to take it a step further and say that this Wizards organization drafted a very specific type of player this year, especially in this 2025 draft class. It wasn't the best night for Trey Johnson, I'll tell you that. He was not very good in the minutes he did play. He was on a minutes restriction tonight, not specified how long, but Brian Keefe did say before the game that he is back to like what he considers full health, and they should be able to unleash him soon. He wasn't great tonight, but Will Riley, great tonight. Jamir Watkins, great tonight. All three of those guys play with supreme intensity. I thought Trey Johnson was competing on the defensive side of the basketball today and doing what he could, and some opportunities actually running the point today. I think he'll get better as time goes along. He'll get back into basketball shape. But Riley and Watkins were out there crashing the glass with purpose every single time, reading passing lanes. That one sequence where Will Riley reads the passing lane, he gets in the lane to intercept it, takes it coast to coast, finds Keyshawn in the corner, who swings it one more time unselfishly to Bub. He knocks down the three from the left wing. Those are the type of plays where you really see the vision of this young core of players, what you have building there. Will Dawkins drafted those three players because they play with intensity. They compete at a high level, and that's what it's all about. If you have guys that can compete, you can compare to other guys in the NBA. They're going to continue to build, develop, get better as this season goes on. I'm very excited about where this team is going right now. I know there's a lot of bad things that have happened this year. Obviously, you have probably the worst defense of all time. There's been plenty of lackluster offensive performances. You have a veteran player right now that is effectively your tank commander at times, although he's given you 40-plus point performances on a couple of occasions. But I'm starting to see some vision of what we have in terms of development in our young players. Man, if we get A.J. DeBonsa or Cam Boozer in this draft, next year might be a lot of fun. You got financial flexibility freeing up in the offseason. Maybe the Wizards make a big trade. There's going to be an expectation for this team to try to get to a more competitive point next year. And this year, you got to take nights like this where you were competitive with a team that's competing in the Eastern Conference. Don't take a night like this for granted. Look at the development and see what you have moving forward and start to get excited about what you have here.
Especially since not too long ago, this is a team that lost to the Boston Celtics without their number two options, or both their best 1 and 2 options, by 45 points, Ben. This is a step up, losing by 4 points in a game we were leading at 1 point, fourth quarter collapse. Young guys, inexperienced, it happens, it is what it is. Tristan Vucevic tonight, Ben, 14 points in 15 minutes. I love what I'm seeing from TV. Defensively, you can call it how it is. He's not the best defender in the world. He's not Shaquille O'Neal. But offensively, he'll give you 14 to 15 points a game when the opportunities are there. Now, I do want to see how his offensive game looks once Alex Sarr comes back. Obviously, the usage will go down. But just overall, in general tonight, from the young guys, a lot of positives, man. You scoring 126, only giving up 130 on average. You give up, I think, 129, so slightly a little above the average. But it was a good tank loss. I'll keep saying that.
There you go. There you go. All right, we got a lot of comments loading up. Keep them coming because we're reading them in the next segment. Your favorite segment up next. Time to let it all out. Systems, and this is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of running a business and think there has to be a better way, and there is. Today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Quo, the smarter way to run your business communications. If you're ready to make your workday smoother and keep customers connected with the headaches, Quo makes upgrading your setup easier than ever. A streamlined system makes such a big difference when communicating with customers. You can have calls, texts, and voicemails in one clean view. Keeps everything organized and helps you stay responsive. Being able to share one team number makes it so much easier so that nothing gets missed. The AI summaries and call logging feel like having an assistant keeping track of all the details you need. Make this year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's quo.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. NFL Sundays move fast. One big play, and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds. Every drive, every momentum swing, every highlight moment. Heck, if you're watching this game, probably would have been a good idea to live bet the Cavs before the fourth quarter because the Wizards have fallen apart in the fourth quarter of a lot of these games. Probably would have made yourself some money. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. A receiver gets hot, a defense tightens up, or the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into that moment. Live spreads and moneyline adjust instantly, and the player props update as guys heat up. So if you want to be right in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL bets all season long. Place those live. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. All right, this one should be fun. It's your favorite post-game segment here on the Locked On Wizards podcast. It's time to let it all out. AB, get it going.
Chuck Best 3780. Thank you for liking, commenting, subscribing to the Locked On Wizards. Bub's best floor game of the year by far. Yep, I completely agree. 27 points, 8 assists, floor general. A guy who maybe people don't think can be an ideal pure point guard here. He was definitely doing it all. I like to personally thank CJ McCollum for selling this game like a Lonzo Ball layup. That was funny, Ben, when Lonzo missed that layup. You said he smoked it. I thought he got hurt in the middle of it, but yeah, he completely missed the rim. That was
weird.
Yeah, it was a very weird sequence there. WizKid forever. Well, CJ made some errors, but if it wasn't for his experience, they would have lost by much more. Good overall effort by everyone, especially Bub. 100%. CJ McCollum, as frustrated as I am with the last-second shots and missing it and not swinging it, he still is a guy that has that experience, and not too long ago gives you those 30-plus point games, 40-point games. Chuck also is definitely proud of the effort given, especially Jamir and Will. Those guys showed out tonight. 100%. This is what I want to see throughout the rest of the season now, because I understand we're not going to be competing, but the silver lining is always the young guys balling out. Mr. Bond V2 says, deja vu. They find a way to lose the last 2 minutes. Vucevic messed this up. The coach left Vuce out there while he was messing things up. I mean, again, team defense in general, we're not that great. I'm being light with that statement. I just think to blame it all on one person, it's not the solution. This team needs to find a way to just play better as a team in general, and defensively, hopefully, it'll pick up. CJ sold those free throws like management was behind the basket with the don't you dare face. Yeah, those free throws, I expect a guy I don't know his career free throw percentage, Ben, but that is frustrating to miss 2 in a row. 1, okay, I'll let that slide, but 2, you scratch your head after that. Backs, I don't even know how to pronounce that. I'm sorry. 2014 says fire Keefe. I mean, tonight, can you really question Brian Keefe?
I thought the rotations were fine. Like, they let the young players go. They gave Jamir Watkins a lot of runway, Will Riley a lot of, this is not a loss on Brian Keefe. You can say maybe because he left CJ McCollum in the game at the end, then you put that on, like, we can't just say every single time they lose it's Brian Keefe's fault. CJ McCollum went 1 for 8 in the fourth quarter. That is not Brian Keefe's fault, other than not taking him out of the game, I guess. But CJ McCollum is always going to be in the game in those situations. That's how it is with this team. That loss is not on Keefe.
Do you think, though, Ben, like, Keefe tells CJ to swing it in those situations, or it's just like he's the vet, let him do his job?
I feel like we're too differential to veteran players still. Like, I think CJ does play too much. I think they give him too much of a runway, especially late in these games. So, I don't know. I can't take you inside the huddle, obviously, and tell you what Brian Keefe says to CJ McCollum, but he's a 14-year pro. I don't think they say a lot to him, if I had to guess, based on his play style, especially late in games. I don't know. All you can do is shrug your shoulders sometimes.
Chuck also says, honestly, the first 2 minutes of the fourth was when they lost the game to me. That was a cluster for about 5 minutes. Yeah, it was funny because when we were up 15 or 16 late in the third, Ben asked me, like, how are we going to lose this one? I'm like, let's wait till that fourth quarter and you'll get the answer. WizKid Forever also says, young kids got to learn that killer instinct in the fourth quarter. Their energy was gone by the fourth. Weren't sure how to close out and missed a lot of shots. Yeah, Donovan Mitchell, he took over. I mean, he was a man amongst boys. He's so shifty. Big Shell 99 says, good to see Bub's stat line. When I saw the lead went from 15 or so to 3, I knew it was over. They don't know how to win. That's what good teams do. They find a way to win games even when they're down late in the game. It gives us a headache. Mr. Bon V2 says, it gives us all a headache after the game. Yeah, but if you think about it long term, AJ DeBonza, what he's doing at BYU, Cam Boozer, what he's doing at Duke, Darren Peterson. How did Bagley play? 15 and 13, double-double tonight for Marvin Bagley. With Alex Sarr not playing, he stepped up for sure. Chuck Best also says, Bub was aggressive. The fact that he put 1 foot in the lane a few times was great. His finishing at the rim starting to form. I really like what he did tonight. Yep, can't say enough good things about Bub tonight. This loss looks better than losing by 30-plus points, 100%. I'm going to read someone else. Wash WizKid also says, Bub was going crazy. Yes, sir.
Is that Gil in his picture? It's so small on my screen.
Yeah,
it's Gil.
Yeah, it is. Goldo Beard says, I'm down for a Sabonis trade. Sabonis is a guy, I don't know if you saw on social media, Ben, that's been trending that the Wizards might be interested in. I don't know if it's true, but he says, I'm down for a Sabonis trade, but some of the wings have to go. Either Keyshawn or Bilal going to second unit, from one of them going to S, the shooting guard spot, and Keyshawn isn't a shooting guard to me. Sabonis, Ben, what do you think?
I think we'll need to just do a video on this, because I saw the report having thoughts on that. I don't really know if it's actually something that's realistically possible. There's some details to that report that I think people are missing out on, but we could probably do a video on that.
I will say, though, I was a huge fan of Sabonis when he was in Indiana, and I wanted the Wizards to trade for him, but he ultimately went to the Kings.
That's where it's stemming from. Like, the report directly says, like, the Wizards were previously interested in him. That's when Tommy Shepard was here. The new front office, Dawkins was there when he was drafted. So that's something, like, keep in mind as well. That's kind of the rationale for that, but I don't really think it's something that works for both parties, to be honest. The Kings would just do it to dump his salary, I guess. The Wizards don't really have assets I think they'd be willing to give up. Like, you're not giving Sacramento an unprotected first-round pick for him.
No. We see what's happening around the league. No unprotected first-round picks given.
Like,
J Cass Pro Properties LLC 4886. Jay is also a good friend of the channel. Cam and AJ DMP, trade them already. Give those boys a chance on another team. Also, our draft pick looking mild AF this year. Fears and Queen looking good, though. He might have blown it yet again. All right, let me break this down. So Cam Whitmore, like we mentioned, we don't want to talk too much about him. Didn't play today. We move on. AJ Johnson did play in the G League today for the Go-Go. Did some nice things. You can check out his stat line. Don't know if you trade them. It's too soon to do that. I do want to see them get playing time, though, and hopefully we see more of them for the rest of the year. Saying our draft pick is mid, it's just too soon. Trey Johnson, you have to see him because he on a minute restriction tonight. We saw flashes of him in the second game in Dallas where he showed off homecoming. You saw what he did in Texas. Like, not every rookie is going to be like LeBron and just go off their first game. I love Derek Queen. I mean, I'm going to keep saying it. Everyone thought I was crazy for saying that we should trade up for him, and I'm a dummy. I'm wrong 99% of the time. But the 1% time when I'm right, I'm going to come back and say, hey, I'm going to take my victory lap.
You're a big back patter.
Yeah, exactly. And Jeremiah Fears, I'll admit, he's been hooping. I've been wrong about him so far. I mean, I was concerned about the size, and even though he looks like a teenager out there, he gets to the rack with ease. And I just think it's crazy, Ben, to give up on Trey Johnson. And honestly, I understand that everyone's playing good in the draft class, but you just have to look at what our situation is and be patient with the kid.
Yeah, I mean, he was hurt. He was hurt.
Yep.
That's what I could say.
Andrews Chicken 6391 says, stop playing CJ. He's a really good player. Trade him, get draft capital, and rebounding. Yeah, I think with CJ, the trade value has been increasing. Don't know what you get. Ultimately, we'll see when that time comes. Definitely can get a first-round pick. I don't know which team would. I'm assuming a contender that needs a guy that can give you 20. We'll just need to see. Flump Jugs, your uncle. Hopefully I pronounced that right. Never understood the hate for Bub. Really young guard on the worst team in the NBA. Just give him time. Yeah, I mean, the problem with today's NBA guys, especially this is a Wizard squad that we haven't seen much success for the past couple of years. This is a whole different regime. They're doing it the right way. There is no shortcuts. It's because we gave up Denny for Bub. That's why people don't like him. That's a good point. I understand. We're still getting comments for that Denny video that we made a couple months ago, Ben. And every time I see it on social media, Denny of Dia, it's just Wizards fans saying we shouldn't have given up on him. It's just the reality situation, guys. It's in the past. It's a sunk cost. Denny was not Will Dawkins' draft pick. Like, you just can't keep harping on it.
You got to pull out the Doc Walker card. And I don't know how many people watching this channel are fans of Redskins Super Bowl winning tight end Doc Walker, big personality in the area still. As he always says, he does not talk about players that are not playing for his team. He doesn't do it. So if somebody doesn't play or if somebody's traded, he does not talk about him. I'm installing that mentality for myself tonight.
Yeah, you have to. You just got to keep moving forward. Almost out of time here. Red Wings 0142 says at least CJ is building up some trade value equity or some trade equity. I completely agree. Jay Capone says CJ plays like a random in the rec on 2K. That's a good one. I haven't played rec in 2K in a while, but I definitely see where you're coming there. And Chuck finishes it off by saying Champagne is so good, y'all. He's going to get traded because the team is going to want to use all he does. Justin Champagne is another fan favorite for me where he goes out there and just does everything. He's our Josh Hart, as I like to say. And tonight, he only I think scored 3 points, but had 7 rebounds. And a guy at his size, he does a great job of contributing on the court. But overall, Ben, this is a night where you love what you saw from the young guys. You keep on moving forward. I think you have, the next home game, the 21st. Wemby is coming to the district. Hopefully Bilal's back. And that's going to be fun. Champagne brothers going at it, a lot of headlines.
It's going to be fun just to see Wemby in here, the Champagne brothers. That'll be a fun one. All right, AB, we got to get out of here before Capital One Arena physically removes us from this place. That's our show. Wizards fall today, 130 to 126. A lot to look forward to, though. Let's hope we keep building positive momentum on this. We thank you for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every single day. For your second, check out the Locked On NBA Fantasy Basketball Podcast, hosted by Josh Lloyd. He will get your fantasy lineup right. That'll do it for us today, DC family. Stick with it. Never give up.